everybody. Welcome to One Drink, a podcast where we talk about one topic for one drink. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Oliver.
I'm Chris.
Marina, we're the owners of Nine Spot Brewing.
Yeah.
Yes, and we are on location again here at Nine Spot here in Rochester, New York. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. Yeah.
Sure.
Great place. Soon as we walked in, everything New York.
Yeah. This is my first time here. And walking in, I was like, oh, this place is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's, and you just immediately get hit with like all the decorations and stuff that are up, and you see all this Rochester stuff in here, and it's a real cool vibe in here. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Well, that's been something that we, from day one. And we just posted on social media kind of a compilation of before and after the space, but it's really mind-blowing. This was just a big empty nothing. The only thing that was here that's still here is the bathrooms. I mean, it's literally from anything is this was all, from our,
We tried to create a place that the building itself is 110 years old, and like Marina said, when we walked in, it was a concrete shell of nothing.
Yeah.
We wanted a place that felt like it had been here for decades, despite the fact that it was all brand new.
Yeah.
And so, hopefully,
And it definitely feels like that.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like that as well.
So
sometimes people don't believe that this was like a new place. They're like, what bar was this before? And we're like, no, like we built this. And they were like, what? Like it's,
Yeah, it's definitely got that feel of, something modern that is inside of something old.
And I think, too often, like nowadays, like no place locally. New York's doing an excellent job of this, but if you travel the country, you go to a lot of craft beer places and they almost feel like they have a starter kit.
Yeah.
I was like, this is where the chairs come from. Yeah. This is the galvanized steel bar that you're going to be. And so we basically, if there was anything that we felt like fit that mold, it got axed off of the planet.
Yeah,
so,
no, it feels like a one-off.
Yeah.
And I don't like when you go into a place that's a one-off and it feels like there's 100 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I always like little local pubs and stuff like that too. So like that's what it feels like to me in here is like a pub.
It separates itself from all the other breweries,
Yeah. Well, so I'm from Buffalo, and there's a very deep dive bar and like bars that have been owned by the same family since the 60s and that are still running. And I don't know if just because I haven't been here long enough, but I haven't seen as much of that in Rochester, and I've always kind of like yearned for that more of that corner bar, that almost like social club kind of community space feel. And
so one of the things that you bring up there is like when you go to a lot of these to the corner bars, you look behind the bar and it's decades worth of just weird things they have picked up over time.
Yep.
So just yesterday, when you take a look behind our bar, we've got a series of shelves back there that are just random items that we felt represented New York in one way or another. And we had two people sitting at the bar and called me over and they go, "This is for you, for your shelf." And they gave us a giant chunk of New York State garnet, and
which is a state gemstone that they found themselves and
that's so cool.
So we've had some people bring us Herkimer diamonds, and so we're already like. We started this collection several years ago. We had a house fire in 2019, and after that, it was kind of like we started collecting this New York stuff. It was kind of part of our healing a little bit of, when you had nothing, we're like, all right, so, we're going to start kind of collecting this New York history stuff and kind of start building the brewery around that.
That's so cool. And you guys just recently opened here. Right?
So we officially opened December 7th of 2022, and we
still new.
Yeah.
So we signed the lease here in July of 2021. So it was quite the process
in the
to
pandemic
get this.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was wild.
Like our story goes all the way back to 2017 is when we kind of started this whole journey. We used to. It was 4 of us, and we brewed in a buddy of ours in his basement in his garage.
I see that's
definitely the theme. Yeah, it's either in a garage or in a basement.
Yep. Yeah, we upgraded from the garage to the basement.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Halfway through, we were out there in like January trying to freaking
Freezing.
get stuff
Oh my God, there's
to temp.
There is a fantastic photo of
fantastic. I don't know.
yeah, exactly. There's a fantastic photo of one of our partners defrosting a line utilizing his shower because
it
was
frozen.
Yep. So he's like taking
the hose.
So you guys literally started from scratch.
Well, I mean, the answer is yes and no, because I mean, Marina's got a background that goes further back than all of us. And so.
Back to Buffalo, where I don't know if anybody's familiar with Pizza Plant out there. But, so they've been around for, I think 40 years now. I could be exaggerating that, but it feels like if I worked there over 20 years ago, so it's been a minute. But they were a craft beer bar before craft beer was really anything, and they had their own, they were one of the first like custom brew crafter brews. They had their, and so I was 18, 19 when I started working there as a hostess. And so I learned about craft beer before I, could legally drink it. I may have sampled some before that, but
we'll edit that out.
Good way of saying it.
No, but they, and they were very supportive. But that's something, I think I was lucky in that, and it always kind of stayed in the background of my life, throughout the years.
That's cool.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And craft beer now is huge.
Yeah.
It's amazing to look at. Like, we wrote our first business plan, like I said, in 2017, and I love going back and looking at it and realizing what happened in between 2017 and when we kind of kicked this into high gear right after the pandemic. And I think in that 3-year period of time, there was over 150 breweries that were opened up in New York State. Wow.
But even since we started in this spot and now, I think it's even changed even more.
I mean, I feel like breweries pop up, again, every day. I feel like I hear about a new one. But I like that, going back to what you guys were saying about this place in specific, about the physical place, it's new, but it feels like it's been here for a while. It's not that cookie cutter, okay, we'll have this steel bar, and we'll have these stools, and we'll have this wood that looks like it's reclaimed, but it's not actually, you know what I mean? Like, it looks way too fancy to look like it's, reclaimed wood. Like, as soon as I walked in, I looked at your guys' hostess stand that's over there, and I love that because...
and also the whole front of the bar.
And then the bar as well, too.
Like, there's like nothing new in here, really. I mean, and that's one of the things,
Perfect,
I would love to go through and kind of catalog at some point. I mean, where the adventures that we went on to like get some of these things, and how lucky we were to have the contractor, carpenter, airborne cabinet CJ who did a lot of the work here, who helped us out with wood from his barn, and that he just had around, or that taking stuff that we just found here from when they took the elevator out or whatever, and putting that into things.
Wood, not new wood that's supposed to look like reclaimed wood.
And the windows that we worked with, historic house parts on to build this wall and this door. I refinished the door to our red room, and it's just been.
Marina brought up reutilizing some of the materials from this building. So directly above us, that flywheel right there, when this was a car dealership in 1910, there was an actual hydraulic
freight
lift.
Elevator. A huge freight elevator.
And so we saved that, and we saved the lift gates from it. Cool. And so the bar that is in between here and the actual brewery space. Yeah. If you look in the center of it, it says weight limit 6,500 pounds.
Oh, is that from?
And that is from that is the lift gate from that elevator that we made that entire bar.
They had the showroom was on the second floor, so we do have some pictures of pictures of the cars up there and
super cool
stuff. So it's a pretty wild history. Actually, right where we're sitting, it was a discotheque in 1977 to 82, and you can see there's this seam in the floor, and there was a sunken bar here.
Okay.
And then there was also like a cutout above where the brewery space is now that there was a lounge on the second floor that overlooked the dance floor down here. So it was pretty.
It was Hobo's Alley.
Yeah,
to
Hobo's
see it,
Alley.
Yeah.
Is that what the actual
That
name
is the
was?
actual. So this place seems to only
So
exist in
anybody
like
out
myth.
there knows
Yeah.
anything about Hobo's Alley, we're dying for more information
man.
on that.
Occasionally.
Imagine getting a
like-
nice collage of pictures
Oh
put
my
together
God, I
from
would
There was
love
Hobo's Alley.
nothing that exists of this place other than
Yeah.
we had our final like building inspection, and a guy wanders in off the street, and he comes in here and he looks around, and our brewer Mike catches him. He was like, "Can I help you with something?" He was like, "Yeah, I used to own this place," and because we understand the history of the building, there was really only two
Yeah, there
people
wasn't
that
many
could have
options.
been.
It was vacant for a long time.
And so we knew it was either, the bike shop or Hobo's Alley.
Yeah.
And so Mike, who we have told the story about of Hobo's Alley many a time, he's like giddy about it. He's like running to us while we're in the middle of a building inspection. He was like, "The guy from Hobo's Alley is here. The guy from Hobo's
We found him.
We found him."
But he said he would come back, but he hasn't yet.
He did. He came in,
I'm
he
sure, I'm
pointed
sure
a couple
he'll wander
things.
in another time, but
damn.
He literally just
He's- he did-
"Oh, cool, thanks," and walked out the front door.
I wonder how many pounds of drugs he did
well,
in this
he,
building.
I mean, not to like,
What?
yeah.
You didn't want to throw him under the bus, but this
There
is
was
literally what the
mention
story
of
was.
cocaine.
So he's standing here, and he literally looks around, and he was like, "A lot of memories here.
Yeah.
A lot of cocaine. A lot of cocaine." And then he literally raises his hand and goes, "All right, well, I'll see you later." And he turns around and walks up. We were like, did we just imagine what happened here?
You might have been hallucinating from the
was-
residuals that were left over
Residual
from when you
Hobo's
tore
Alley,
up all the
but-
stuff
Yeah,
from
well,
Hobo's
I
Alley.
need
Oh
ready
my
to dig
God.
up this bar and see what's
Right.
under there.
Exactly.
Just get a contact high from decades ago.
Oh, my God.
Oh man, that's so funny.
So yeah, but we are deep in the history of the building,
I love
the
it.
neighborhood.
I love it.
Well, and then, I mean, going back in terms of just this neighborhood history, like across the street, we've got Marshall Street, which used to be the Glass
Glass
Onion, and, we do get a lot of people who live in this development, Wadsworth Square, right across from us, and they talk about being here for 50 years and watching everything, and when we were under construction, we had people who would come up to our window up here and just go, "Thank you. Like, thank you for actually doing something in this area here."
Yeah.
Because this building it was hurting. At the
It was
time.
an eyesore.
Yeah, it
for
was.
So
sure.
we feature a lot of local businesses on the show. We shout out a bunch of local stuff. We're heavy on the supporting local vibe that Rochester is, which it's a huge community in this town for supporting local, and building up communities and neighborhoods and stuff like that. I've lived in not quite this neighborhood, but I grew up in the South Wedge, so I've been around this area for a long time, and the support that I feel like that you get in neighborhoods like this here in the city it is phenomenal. They love when something new comes in, when someone cares about the neighborhood that they're in, wanting to be a part of the community, for the community, you know what I mean? And it's cool to know that like people were coming up and appreciative of what you guys were doing. As business owners, it's like, oh, that makes you feel good. You know what I mean? Like what you're doing is,
And you guys
going
been getting a
towards
lot of
something
love
more
from
than
here too, right?
getting a
Like,
paycheck.
We've been getting some love. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mayor,
mean-
didn't the mayor come here?
The mayor and Joe Morello came down, and he was fascinated by all the brewing stuff. They both were great. We had great days with both of them visiting, and I mean, with this community, the Marshall Street, Kelly and Don Bush, they've been since day one. I think as soon as they heard that we signed the lease, they reached out to us and introduced themselves.
Kelly's great.
Oh,
She's the local representative for
Wadsworth Square
and the National Restaurant Association.
Yes, Yep.
She's
sure is.
the local rep here. I worked with her when I was in the restaurant business. She's fantastic.
We
A wealth
used
of
Marshall
knowledge.
Street as basically our base of operations for like 4 months.
When we were under
that's cool.
construction,
Oh, darn.
we,
What a,
yeah, we,
what a tough place to work out of.
Oh, a lot of plates
darn.
were eaten.
dude, we got fat
We
last
got-
summer.
A lot of construction
And
weight.
it's like I don't want to drink all day, so then I'm drinking like root beers all day, which is like
Right, you might as well just have a beer.
Yeah, But they've been wonderful. But the Wadsworth Square community here is very involved. The homeowners, the business owners, and then also the Monroe Ave Merchants Association just recently had basically a complete new takeover of the board, brand new board, new entire everything. So I see that as a big advantage with a lot of young business owners that are very interested in doing more with that and kind of bridging to the two ends of Monroe a little bit.
Marina just she hosted a panel a couple of weeks ago, and one of the quotes that stuck out from that particular thing was she was talking about various people who helped us throughout this whole process. And she specifically she goes, we would 100% not be here if it weren't for the help of, and she mentioned Rock Brewing in particular. And everyone talks about, this whole craft beer bubble. Are there too many of them? When's it? Everyone in this community, in this craft beer community, helped us get across the finish line.
That's awesome.
That's
from
awesome. Strangebird when we were under construction.
And, hearing that in such a competitive market, which I think New York State is number 2 in the country.
It is.
For the amount of breweries in a state.
Correct.
I don't know if it's per capita or not, but
not per capita.
Per
capita, we're 23rd actually because of the huge population of New York City. So,
I mean, just in sheer numbers, I think we're only second to California.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's an explosion though, because we were just talking to Mike earlier before we started filming, and he was saying that when he started. Or when he left and went to California, there was only 2 here. It was Rohrbox.
Quick clarification, we keep on bringing up Mike. Mike is our brewer. We keep speaking of him in the third person. He was here for a brief bit, but there we go.
And we were talking about that, and it's like, the explosion that the craft beer world took in this state was unbelievable. But to hear that it's such a tight community, even though it's so competitive,
insane.
It's so great to hear because you have such a competitive market in other fields, and everybody is cutthroat, and they're all about themselves. And I'm going to make the money, not you. I'll destroy you. Yeah. Here, it's like, well, if we all do well, then the whole market will do well. Yep. So.
When we were at the
something smells great
at the Brewers
I don't mean to cut this conversation off.
No,
something is cooking.
I'm not
kitchen
sure
right
what
now.
he's
Phenomenal.
making.
It smells like sautéed onions.
I think he's making
sweating right now.
Caramelized onion dip. That's probably what's happening.
Yep. Oh, that's caramelized onion. Yeah. You were saying.
But at the Brewers conference, the 585 Brewers group is so tight knit. That we made our own table because we didn't want to break up the group because it was like a seat yourself kind of, whatever. And we literally put together 2 8-foot tables and made, our own.
We pulled over vendor tables and made this super long Viking style.
And, I mean, it's some of these, some of the Buffalo people, are chilling together and whatever. But everybody's kind of, doing their own thing. But anytime anybody from the group won, I mean, it was just no words for just the enthusiasm from the group.
Dean won his award.
We were right behind him.
And the best part, and this gives me chills how this happened. It was because it was organic. And Dean comes off the stage, and every single 585 brewer descended upon him and was hugging him and patting him on the back. And then this chant of 585 just started going. It was like, Bud, and we were the rowdy kids that everyone else is like.
Yeah, and I think, some people are like,
Rochester
what the heck,
again.
these guys? But, I mean, without that, none of us would, I mean, we won a medal for best collaboration. That's our core is
I was gonna
doing
bring that
these.
up, But how, so you guys opened recently, and you get an award, right? At the conference,
a big award too.
It's not just an award.
Right. It's not like a participation trophy.
It's like an accomplishment and an award at the same time.
Right.
Well, so
How shocked were you?
collaboration was always something that was part of the business plan from day one. It's something that we've always been very passionate about, building up, smaller New York breweries, other farm breweries. But when we started having the delays here with the construction and everything, we were like, okay, it became a necessity of that we need to be brewing and we need to start building relationships. And it blew up more than we could have imagined after the success of the first couple we did. I mean, we had breweries reaching out to us to do collabs. Like, we didn't do there's a list of probably 5 to 10 other breweries that have expressed interest in doing
a collab.
collabs. And awesome. So it was wild how much that took off, but it's great for both brands. I think even in the brewing process, you can learn from each other. Everybody's system's different. I learned that more than anything through this is, there's Franken systems and there's fancy systems and there's, every size system.
I like that. I like that.
They're out there, and everybody has their different, way of working on that system. And so, we all learned a lot from each other. And then in addition to that, the cross promotion, you're getting out into, in the need for social media, you're now your whole group of followers, and now this other brewery's whole group of followers.
It was an insane day when we had not even opened our doors yet, and someone took a picture of our beer on the shelves at Wegmans in Buffalo because we had done a collaboration with 12 Gates out there.
Yeah.
They, distribute to Wegmans, and they loved the collaboration. We did so much they had confidence in it, and it was a surreal moment. We were like, wow.
Man, we're in Wegmans.
We're in Wegmans.
It's like a pinnacle moment there. You know what I mean? Like, man, I'm in Wegmans.
12 Gates, they're they've been around for, I think they just had their 5th year anniversary or are close to, but they, have a 30-barrel system, a huge brewing system, and they're, pumping out a ton of stuff, but they are only in Buffalo. So this also got their name a little bit into Rochester.
Yeah.
We took the beer to the Syracuse Beer Festival, got the eye of a bottle shop owner in Syracuse who then came and bought a bunch of cases of it to sell in their store in Syracuse. So now
awesome.
we've gotten
That's the great
both
thing about
brands from Buffalo to Syracuse. Maybe on a small scale, but it's it's a start.
Hey, but you're there though,
So it's
the amount of people that we met in an Albany beer festival was like, yeah, I know you guys. And we were like, yeah, we are
It's
planning
one of
on
those things. It's like, how do you know me? Albany. What? You know what I mean?
it's
We're
weird.
not even open yet.
And so it's collaboration, Marina has said, was always part of who we were at the very core. And there was these weird outliers when we first opened. They were like, when are you going to have some beer of your own up there?
Yeah, why would you want to do this?
And we were like, what do you mean beer of our own? Like, that's beer of our own. It's just that we brewed it with our friends. It's, beer's about community. Beer's about, just trying to, build relationships with people. And so we were proud of each and every one of them up there. And then to win the award for that cemented it.
Yeah.
And we called our shot. Like, we're sitting at the table and we were like, I want that award again next year.
Yeah.
I was like, I want the collaboration award again.
Yeah.
And
so speaking of collaborations, what was the beer that won?
So the beer that won, I'll have Chris talk a little bit about the name, but I'll talk a little bit about the beer. Is Pearl de Pine is a Weizenbach.
Oh, thank you. Yep, we've got props there. Thanks, Mike.
There it is.
See, Mike is a real person.
Mike is a real person.
We didn't make him up.
He's the man in the back. So we actually, we had a great. This was I say in the true fashion of collaboration, where 8 of us sat at a table and discussed, kind of what direction we wanted to go with it, and we all kind of were in the interest of a dark wheat beer, and ended on the Weizenbach, which is a little bit of a stronger dark wheat beer. And we brewed it over at Wood Kettle. Mike and Tanner and Bruce Lish and Tanner Cartas, we brewed there, and it turned out great, and we didn't have any of it, left in stock here, and so they
sold out with our opening weekend.
We sold quite a lot of that, and so they entered it, and we were super excited that they reached out like, hey, did you guys enter this? We're like, no, we don't have any of it left, and they're like, do you care if we're like, yeah, go ahead, obviously, yeah, go ahead. But we never, I don't know what I expected, but but
all of our beers, they have a New York name or a New York inspiration behind them. We strive to use between 80 and 100% New York ingredients in almost everything that we do. So
that's awesome.
Pearl de Pine, going back in history, there was a quote-unquote Little Germany in New York City. It doesn't exist anymore. Most of the German population wound up migrating west. But from a period of time, from Pearl Street to Pine Street, that was Little Germany.
Gotcha.
And so these are every single one of our beers. Like if you're ever in for, a story, ask me what the beer name is, because I will tell you the weird
I love when
history
there's so
behind
much more behind what it actually is. You know what I mean? It's like when I think about those cool stories like that, I love little tidbits of factoids like that.
Yeah.
With stuff, it's like what I feel like when I see the art with the Three Heads. The Three Heads beer art.
Yeah.
One, because it's done by a local artist, and two, because there's always some little kind of thing inside of it. You know what I mean? A lot of it is like Rochester related. You know what I mean?
These little hints
so
to it.
I love that there's something hidden behind it that you can delve deeper into, and it's not just. How'd you come up with that? Oh, we thought it sounded cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's so boring. You know what I mean? You tell me about this old little German, neighborhood that used to be there that's not there anymore, and then that's...
And I would have never
who still knows
in
that?
my life known that.
No,
Right.
it's the same.
Moment right
same.
now.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
that's,
love New York history time.
Yeah.
I will tell because like I said, we've been planning this and developing this for so long. There is a Google Doc that is filled with possible beer names.
Yeah, and then we also
And
have
then
the
we
alternate,
never use it.
the alternate file that is called unhinged beer names that we just keep to ourselves.
If you ever if you're hanging out with your friends and anyone ever says that's a good band name, the beer community, that's a good beer name.
That's a good beer name.
And it always goes half the time they're publishable to people outside of your friend group. But yeah.
So that's like our little list that we have of upcoming show ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
or we'll just randomly be talking about something, be like, oh, we should do a show on that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that'd be a good show.
Which Smurf would I open a small business with? There you go.
Oh my god.
Speaking of stories, what's the story behind the name of?
When I kind of started coming up with the idea, we knew that the theme was going to be New York and that kind of, regional cuisine and regional ingredients. So I kind of started researching different emblems, symbols, history of New York, and came across that the 9-spotted ladybug is actually the state insect of New York.
Another fact I
And
didn't
it's
know.
actually,
You guys need to come on our regular show.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
You wanna do a New York drop, yeah.
We did a segment of our show. We did a history show, and we
my
always featured
God, yeah.
we always featured
let's
just
do it.
different type of history. You know what I mean? And it was like on this day, but we would feature like a full week of sort of like on this day, but not like normal stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we would feature some big things that were like important and stuff like that, but it was like
Stuff just like you mentioned.
122 years ago today, the American Angler, you know what I mean, the oldest continuously running magazine in the world, you know what I mean? It was like stuff like that.
We had a patron come in, and they were giddy to tell us about this, knowing that we love the weird New York State facts. And they were like, did you know that the woman who is responsible for the largest kazoo symphony is from Rochester, New York? And I'm like, what?
I love kazoos.
I was like, oh my god.
There's a kazoo factory.
I'm not gonna lie.
Lie.
I'm probably gonna YouTube that when I get home.
Please
because
do.
I would
I
love
will
to
give
see
you a link.
giant kazoo.
The kazoophony.
Symphony.
It
I
was
was like,
called.
bring it here.
Kazoophony. Oh my god,
Bring it
and I
here.
love the name.
We
too.
were like, that's a beer name. Kazoophony IPA.
Yeah,
Like,
Kazoophony. Yes.
Write that down.
That's- put that one on the list.
oh my god. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, to finish up the
Oh,
ladybug.
just
Oh yeah.
oh yeah. So basically, I came to, I can't even remember what some of the other ideas that we even had were at this point.
There was a
Time is irrelevant.
There was a mention of a badger. There was beavers, garnets.
But yeah, so anyway, we decided to go with the nine-spotted ladybug. It's an endangered species. It's pretty cool. It translated, into a pretty vibrant logo that's, identifiable, and it's another, conversation
for sure
point,
Yeah.
which is like all the stuff, has been great with the stories and engaging, our staff and the customers, because our staff, our team, they come up with ideas and and so it's
our most recent beer was actually named by one of our staff members.
Yes, our pale ale that we made for that discussion panel for Women's History Month, Gals Make Great Pales, was named by one of our
very clever.
staff
I like that.
So,
I like clever stuff like that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, we try. If it's not New York specifically, then it's got to have some sort of clever.
And the great thing,
the
great thing about this brewery is when you come in, right, you're gonna leave with some sort of fact about New York.
That's an understatement.
It's like a real life outro of our show, or intro of our history show, because we all every time in the beginning of our history show we're always like, and we'll guarantee that by the time you're done watching this show you'll have learned something. You know what I mean? It's just like by the time you finish that beer, I promise you would have learned something.
I can't wait till when I run into somebody, and they're like, hey, they spit me off a Rochester fact, and I'm just like, where'd you get that from?
Right. There you go. I'm 100%, because I have a 3.5-year-old, and so when next time I find a ladybug, I'm gonna be like, did you know?
Did you know?
We're gonna count the spot. Count how many spots it's got. If
we
it's
have
a 9
seen
spot,
one.
I'll be like, did
we
you
have
know?
seen one
Did
in
you
the wild.
know?
Yeah.
And I'll tell her about that, and then I'll think about you guys.
We had
and hopefully
one-
I'll have some
It's
of your
a
beer
good
in the
fact.
fridge.
It's a good fact.
Like Marina said, they're endangered. We had one land when we were doing during construction. We would sell crowlers out of the front garage door, and we had a ladybug land on that countertop, and all of us stopped, started screaming. They were like, "Count the spots! Count the spots!"
And we were like trying to get a picture of it, but we all like freaked out before we
Did it have 9 spots? It did? No way.
Landed on our
9 spot on 9 spot.
We're hoping that with the warmer months
awesome.
coming up, there is I think it's through Cornell, the 9-spot ladybug repopulation project.
Yeah, it's called the Lost Ladybug Project.
Yeah. Where we're going to head down to Marshall's, the end of Marshall Street. There's kind of a little community park area down there, and we'll
awesome.
Release some ladybugs down there. To
Oh
get them
man,
going.
we might have to swing through for that event.
I would love
Yeah,
that.
there's
Keep us
actually
Open
posted on
invite.
that event.
I don't know if you guys know Mike Evans from SEAC. He does Tool Shed over there. He's a great community advocate. But he works on a Ladybug Day, and we're actually trying to coordinate some stuff with him for that too as
Super
well.
cool.
So.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Damn. So, do you have like a go-to or a favorite beer, or are they always just different?
How about a style? How about a style of beer that you personally favor?
I will start. I will say I love 99% of all beers. I cannot stand smoked beers. I feel like they taste like someone dipped a ham hock in a beer. And what is hysterical about that, the second beer we ever brewed.
Was it smoked?
Was it the first?
Was it
It might
smoked
be
one?
It was either second or first.
Yep.
And
it was one of our best selling.
People
It
probably
was one
loved
of our
it too,
best
right?
selling. I have to admit, because when we brewed it, I'm going to give Mike credit. He specifically said, I'm going to brew a smoked beer. You're not going to love it, but you will drink an entire pint of it. And I go, challenge accepted, because up until that point, I'm like, so it was tasty and delicious. A beer that's on the pipeline that's probably within the next couple of weeks is another smoked beer. And
I don't think I've ever had one.
Oh, it's...
Well, we're trying to kind of take it to like the slightly different level in that, we work with New York Craft Malt out in Batavia, and they have a huge property and that used to be a functioning orchard. And so they do some specialty smoked malt.
That's cool.
With trees from their property. So the first one we had done was a plumwood smoked dunkel, and now we're doing something with lilac wood smoked. So we're kind of
The lilac will be huge in the month.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. The secret's out. But and I don't know how much it changes the flavor. I do think it makes a difference in kind of the subtleties of it. But it's been kind of fun to not just
Nice.
do the heavy smoke. Throw whatever in there.
What's your favorite style?
Oh
no. Well, technically.
Yeah, you said your least favorite.
You haven't even. Yeah, you said least favorite.
I'll tell you what I'm drinking right now. So when we're behind the bar, we try to encourage all of our staff to know what's on tap. And so at the end of the night, we have a shift beer. And at the end of the night right now, Lomo Lager, which stands for Lower Monroe. It was named by Otto from the...
See?
Yeah.
I like it.
It was named by...
we can't take credit for that.
That's
That
entirely
one's
Otto from the Rochester Beer Blog. Every time he was doing a thing here, he would be like, #Lomo, it's going to be trending. And so it is a clean, approachable, beer-flavored beer. It has... You can't hide faults in a beer that simple. And it's actually a testament to Mike's talent, because when a beer is distilled down to its just base ingredients, you can really tell the talent of a brewer, because there's nothing to hide behind it whatsoever. And so that is my go-to beer right now. 2 weeks from now could be completely different.
Fair enough.
But I will also give a huge shout out right now to Industrial Arts is making an NA beer that
It's phenomenal.
it is
They have
one
a
of the
couple
greatest NA beers I have ever had in my life.
There's an IPA and a Pilsner. I drank them at the conference, and I wanted more. Like, they were out of them, and I was
pretty
bummed.
cool.
They're really tasty.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like, when I think of NA, first thing that pops into my mind is
Like
that's NA.
or O'Doul's
or O'Doul's.
Yeah.
O'Doul's, yeah.
Mike,
And it's just like, oh.
will you grab one of those Industrial Arts?
They should be on the bottom shelf there. Yeah. But
It's really, I can't say enough good things about it. Brooklyn makes a really nice, pretty nice NA beer series as well, but we've been leaning into that. I honestly, as much as it probably sounds weird to say, I don't really drink much at all. Like, I may have a drink or two a week,
One
but
drink?
that's about it.
we do a lot.
So perfect. I'm actually saved. That's why I'm on the body fuel this morning instead of the beer. But that's the wrong one.
The Industrial Arts should be on the bottom shelf. If it's not, it's in the cooler.
We're training Mike to bartend right now while we're doing this too.
Yeah, exactly.
But my favorite style is the ESB. It's always been one of the styles that I've gone to, and I love our ESB. It was one of our the third.
I think it's the second. Third. Yeah.
Who knows? One of the
Time
first
has
beers that we made that was like 100% ours was that we were the first brew we contracted at Rock, actually. But that's my favorite. It's always been a style I go to. The Middle Ages out in Syracuse, they have one that it's always been one that I go to.
Nice.
But right now, I really like the gals make great pails. We dry hop that with Mackinac hops from Cobblestone Hop Yard, which is also women owned.
And now, do you serve non-alcoholic here?
Yeah. Oh, so that's like another,
I'll be back.
in the goal of having a community gathering space, we offer a little bit of everything. Not a super deep selection of spirits and wine. We have a little bit of those. We have some ciders, hard ciders, and then we have quite a lot of NA stuff. I keep saying the body fuel, but it's this local energy drink that's we just got it. It's been doing very well. We have 3 different NA beers, and then we do some mocktails and some local sodas as well. So.
And this is an NA?
This is an NA.
Pills?
Yeah, Pilsner.
I mean, it smells
That's always
like
good too to have. I never even
smells
thought
like a Pilsner.
about the non-alcoholic brews.
She brought up bringing it at the conference. the
Tastes
conference
like a
is this wonderful opportunity for all 500 New York State breweries to get under one roof, and everyone's proud of what they, are making, and so they all bring cases and kegs.
Yeah.
And about every 10 feet or so, there's a pyramid of beer, and they encourage you to try other breweries. Sometimes, after you have been enjoying every other brewery for 8 hours, you don't want another beer. And so
I can't take another beer.
not even to the point of intoxication. It's just that it's that
It's
heaviness.
like exhausting. You're
It
like,
is.
oh my
You get
god.
full.
Like,
You do,
yeah, you're
and
like,
you just need
something else that's refreshing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so she was right. We were walking around when we could find them. We were walking around with these NAs just because it gave you the ability. You're still socializing. You're still.
Yeah.
And there was a very interesting fact that we got introduced to at this conference, that most of the NA stuff that's out there is not being drunk by people who don't drink alcohol. It's being drank by people who just want an alternative
Right.
of still being able to enjoy a beer.
Yeah, like I'll have a couple beers.
Yeah.
I still, want to drink something that's kind of beer-like, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Super cool.
I
yeah,
think-
so it's been fun to do that.
I think for me, I think I have to go with sours over. I love IPAs. I think if I had to pick one on what I usually like, if I go somewhere new, I always look to see if there's a sour first.
Now, here's the
because I know there's
controversial
always going to be
question.
an IPA. There's always going to be a lager. There's always going to be, you know what I mean? There's some funky stuff. People want to try this or try that, and I'm always down to sample some a smoked beer. Let me give that a shot. You know what I mean? But a good sour for me is.
here's my controversial question to you. So
Yeah.
sours can run the gamut anywhere,
True.
but yeah. Where do you fall on those heavily fruited sours?
That's mood dependent. Where I am on the
Good way to
scale
put
for
it.
sours, it's mood dependent. Sometimes
that's
I
a
like
great way to put it.
like almost like a framboise type of sour. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just sweet and super. Basically like a fruit smoothie. But then sometimes I like one that's like very light and subtle. Like on warmer days, because you can't drink a huge sour like that on a hot day.
Exactly.
However,
be
this
sweating.
is not an intentional plug, but I'm going to plug it anyways.
Yeah.
I just had the State Snack Sour, and when you described it to me, you said it was light, little bit of notes of grape in there, and it's good on a hot day. And I finished my beer.
You did. You were actually out.
A long time ago. I wish I would have
This almost turned into a two-drink
prepped the
podcast.
second one. But it's only, it's 4.8. What is it? 4.8? Yeah, 4.8%,
Yeah.
which is nice and low for, you know what I mean? It's like drinking it's like a session sour.
Yeah.
It's just, that was phenomenal for me. I could drink, and it's not too soury where I'm like more thirsty with
That's-
every sip that I take.
And going back to your New York history there, the state snack is yogurt. And we actually use the active culture in yogurt to sour that beer. And so,
Yeah, and that was great. I
was
loved that. That was
our
great.
first collab in this building.
Yep.
With Rock Brewing, we did that with them.
Nice.
Yeah,
That
we're going
was
to try
great.
to get over to them eventually.
Yeah.
I'll sit in the background during that
Yeah,
one. 'Cause
perfect.
I love those guys.
Or
over there.
just be on there with us.
Oh, okay. Your favorite?
My favorite is IPAs.
Yeah.
Growing up, I always was drinking Jenny and Bud.
Weren't we all?
Yeah. Whatever
And
was
then-
in your parents' fridge is what I drank when I was a
And
kid.
then when I was at a bar, this lady mispoured a drink. The bartender did, and it was a Three Heads kind. Sipped it, and I was like, "Oh wow, beer does taste so different." So
Call those transformative beers.
Oh, my
those
God.
are the
It's
moments.
like, oh my
that
God,
you-
beer
yeah.
doesn't have to taste like beer?
Oh
Yeah. So now, I mean, I do stick with the kind mostly, but I do, try other IPAs as well. But
Yeah,
mostly IPAs.
Matt used to come into the restaurant all the time, and we had a 16 tap system. We always had, a big selection of craft brews that rotated all the time.
Yep.
And I don't think Matt knew when he came in, because it was either me or Ferg that was on the bar. But I don't think Matt ever ordered a beer at that restaurant for like 5 straight years, because he would walk in and
was
either
pretty
Ferg
cool.
or I would just pick either an IPA or a double or a hazy, whatever we had on that we thought that he would like.
out of
We would
it,
just pour it and give it to him. But it would be funny because shift change would come around, And I'd overhear every now and then, Matt would go up to the next bartender and order a beer, and they'd be like, "Oh, what were you having?" And he was like, "I don't know."
So during those years, I did get to try a lot of different IPAs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but if it was an IPA and it was,
IPAs
you know what I
are
mean, we
definitely
would
good for
pretty much
Oh,
just give
man.
it to him, and he'd be like, "Thanks."
Yeah. I'll drink it.
Yep.
Exactly. That's all that matters.
Yeah. So.
No, the Kind is a classic American
Yeah.
IPA.
Yeah.
It's solid. We actually, one of the first collabs we did was actually with Three Heads. We on the pilot system, which was called the Kind Spot. So
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
see?
It was lightning in a bottle.
It flew out of it. They sold out of it, and I mean, there was
48
only
hours?
4 kegs.
Yeah.
So it's not like a lot. but-
Because it was a little tiny,
Yeah.
but that was.
But that's still an accomplishment to sell
Yeah.
out
Oh yeah.
of,
Oh,
regardless
amazing.
of whatever. you
Yeah.
have,
I
you
mean,
know?
and just to have the opportunity, like out of the gate, to do collabs with Three Heads and Roarbox. We've done two collabs with, and it's just crazy.
Well, I must say that you guys are blowing up, and
you.
I love to see it.
Yay.
It's just a great story.
Thanks,
Can't wait
guys.
to hear more stories.
Oh,
when
Same.
I come back.
We'll both definitely be back here.
So
to
me and
hear-
my girlfriend
to
are
hear some
coming
more
back
stories.
next weekend,
Delightful.
and
I will regale you with arcade
if-
New York history.
We'll have to test our staff too and see what they know too.
my homework.
Maybe we'll do a little undercover
Yeah, a little
investigation. Yeah.
My homework for the week is to at least come up with 1 or 2 New York State facts that maybe you didn't know.
Oh, well,
love
that's
that.
a tough one.
Man, maybe we'll sneak our way
Maybe-
onto the beer name list.
Yeah.
Oh,
If
that
it's got
would
a
be
good
nice.
backstory to it. That should be our project. Come up with
That
a beer
is-
name
Yeah.
each with a good backstory, and we'll see if it
If
We'll
it makes
both
see if it
vote
slides
on
in
it.
there. Yeah.
Accepted. I love that.
Yeah, and if it becomes a beer, at least our little microphone there has got to get put in there
Absolutely.
somewhere.
Every time we do a beer, we create a bottle cap that mirrors our logo
Oh, okay.
for that beer, and so yeah,
I mean, if it did eventually go that far,
That'd be awesome.
I feel like
I might shed
you're
a tear.
watching
I
something
might
great
too.
happen,
I
right?
might shed a
Right.
tear.
Right. You talk
Well,
about logo
you-
collaboration.
You send us the logo and we'll turn it into a bottle cap today.
Exactly.
We'll already put it on there.
You know what? Done.
One
There's-
cap.
One.
So
That's
look,
awesome.
we're already on a collab here.
There you go.
Perfect.
Well, thank you guys for hosting us here today.
Oh, thanks for
It's been
having
an
us.
absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
It's
we
been an absolute
appreciate
pleasure
it.
here with you
It's been
guys.
a great-
We encourage everyone to come down and check out Nine Spot. We'll have all your information down below, all your socials and
Yep.
everything.
Perfect.
Thank you, thank you.
In the description down below so that everybody can come check it out. We noticed on the door that you guys are part of Beer Pass as well.
We are, yeah.
Yep. He's been on the show more than any other single guest that we've had.
Tyler.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of Tyler, then definitely come on down and check
Use
out
the beer pass.
He's been a
app.
great
Yeah,
partner,
for sure.
partner with us.
Yeah.
We love the program, and they've been very, again, going back to the support of the community.
Yeah.
They've been wonderful.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, please come on down and check out Nine Spot. It's a beautiful place. They've got great beer, great atmosphere. And don't forget, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube, both at One Drink Podcast, also on every major platform that podcasts are played. And all we ask you to do is,
Just share with one person.
that's it, just one.
That's it.
Yep. But anyways, guys, until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
That was great.
Awesome, guys.
That was great.
Awesome, man.
was awesome.
There was so much more
Appreciate it.
behind that than I anticipated there being.
Oh man, that was
So
great.
much
Oh,
more. I
look
love
at
all the
this. It
little.
goes
I love
deep.
all the little history stuff.
It goes deep.
That's crazy. Coming back. I grew up in Rochester.